Hey, all right. You are listening to the Deadman's Tome podcast, a show that is too sexy for YouTube, got completely demonetized because this voice you're listening to right here, this voice apparently gets some perverts off. Yes, I'm talking to you. I don't know. Maybe it's just Susan at YouTube, but for some reason, someone out there is getting off to this voice. Anyway. This show is not sponsored by this book here, Wiley E. A Young Magpie Coffin. I wasn't even paid to say this. This book is just great, though. I really enjoy it. If you like splatter punk horror, splatterpunk western, you're going to enjoy this. What does that mean? What does that mean, splatterpunk? Let me just put it this way. If you like Quentin Tarantino's like Hateful Eight, but you want it even bloodier, messier, gorier, more ruthless, then you're going to love this movie, okay? If you like... was it Bone Tomahawk? Especially the last part of that movie where it gets brutal and like beheadings and all sorts of stuff is happening, some savagery happening. You're gonna love this book. Anyway, our guest tonight is a vampire, another bloodsucker. I don't know why I get all these bloodsuckers coming. I don't know if I'm working with Van Helsing. I don't know if I'm working with Blade. I don't know what it is, but they're coming. They're coming. We got Brandy. How's it going?
I'm doing well.
Are you worried? Are you worried that a lot of vampires are coming to me and talking to me?
No, I think it's a good thing. Apparently, you have a winning personality.
Oh, apparently. Two winning. Can't even make a buck off it on YouTube anymore. Huh.
We're gonna flock to you, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Maybe that's the thing. Okay. Now, are you worried that I might have some sort of ulterior motive here? Might be leaking information to... I mean, like, so you say you're a vampire. Are you hunted? Is it a thing that happens?
No, I don't think people are thinking of, like, movie vampire world anymore. I think there's been enough exposure that people don't think that way about vampires anymore.
They're not? Now, I still am kind of, sort of.
I haven't met anybody.
I'll say this. There's a lot of listeners for the show that are like horror fans and writers, and they're probably not vampires. Probably think vampires are kind of like a horror trope because they watch vampire movies or read books or write about them. So let's start this from the beginning. Even though I talked to some, every vampire I've talked to has a different sort of experience, whatever. So what is a vampire? Like, what is it?
Well, at least for me, I can't say what somebody else's experience is like, what is a vampire? Somebody who needs the energy, the vital essence of somebody, or, some people can, I guess, feed off of crowds or feed off nature, and there's some people who actually need to consume blood, and vampires need that energy in order to feel healthy.
So vampires need to feed off of other people.
Or other sources of energy.
Other source of energy. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, see, that part gets kind of weird for me because I'm like, well, then aren't you kind of something else? But...
yeah.
So, I mean, how important is this label, this identity, being a vampire? I mean, is it essential to you? Are you role-playing? Is it a fantasy? Or is it part of your identity?
No, I've never been a role player. I mean, it's a part of my identity, but it's not 100% of who I am. I'm a whole lot of things, and that's just one part of it. Just like you can be a brother, a cousin, a nephew. I mean, it's more to me than, it's just a part of me. It's not all of me.
Just a part of you, not all of you. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right.
I don't know how better to explain it.
So let me ask some basic stuff right out the gate here. So you say you're a vampire. So does that mean you have immortality? Does it mean?
Oh, no.
No. So you're gonna.
No.
So you're gonna die.
Eventually, hopefully, it's after a very, very long life.
I mean, what about when you drink blood? When you drink blood, do you rejuvenate? Do you become more youthful?
No, I don't become more youthful. helpful. It's definitely
Mm.
makes me feel healthier, and things that are usually very hard for me to do are a lot easier uh, over prolonged periods of time. I do kind of deteriorate physically, not like, parts falling off or anything. I get extremely tired, hard to get up, aches and pains. Things just get a whole lot harder to do.
Okay. So when you don't have any blood, I'm assuming, do you feed off energy, psychic energy, or blood?
No, I don't. I just feed off of blood.
Blood. Okay. So when you don't feed off of blood, you're feeling aches and pains. You're kind of weak.
Hmm.
Okay.
It takes time. At least for me, it doesn't have to be like on a daily basis.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, but definitely after a period of time, I definitely know that it's time to have my medicine.
all right, well, let's back up a little bit real fast. How did this happen? Like, how does this come about? How do you become a vampire?
Well, it's not necessarily something that actually happens like something afflicted me. It's more like it was. You're kind of like born that way. It's not something that happens to you out of externally. I don't think there's anything other than this is just who I was meant to be as a person.
Okay.
Yeah. And anybody who says that they, I take it with a grain of salt. Anybody says that they can be turned. I mean,
Well, that's the thing.
yeah.
I mean, how did you? I think you kind of candy coated that there. I don't know. I think you're hiding some important details. Let me dig into that. I mean, how did you turn? I mean, did some long-haired, sexy vampire like convince you to come over to him, and he I don't know, took you on this journey, whatever, and then he, maybe you don't remember what all happened.
That would be extremely romantic, but it didn't happen that way, and I'm glad it didn't happen that way because I was pretty young when I first started having those cravings. And
well, I mean, Louis from Interview with a Vampire, he struck young. I mean, he was all about the kids apparently,
No. My understanding of what was happening to me wasn't as romantic. It was more painful than it was,
Okay.
classically horror, novelty.
And I take it that you age because you said you turned around 8 and 9, but you're not 8 and 9 anymore. Okay. So you're not like a Claudia. Yeah. You don't have that thing going on.
Oh, no.
How? That would be hell, right? To forever be a 9-year-old?
It could have its advantages, but I'm sure it'd be kind of hard trying to live in the world.
Right?
Yeah, you got eternally a kid. Nobody takes you seriously.
No one's going to take you seriously. And even if you're imagine trying to be romantically involved with someone. Everyone's going to constantly accuse, oh my God, that's bad. I'll stop right there. I'll stop right there.
That's kind of conundrum. Yeah, you can't ever, be any kind of adult person. You have to always be a kid.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, when this happened, did he tell people that you're a vampire?
Oh, no.
Wait. I think we're missing something too. So we're at 8 or 9 years old.
Mm-hmm.
You had a taste for blood?
Well, at the time, with kid brain, you don't think like that. You don't think, oh, hey, yeah, this is what I want, or this is what I need. There was something I felt that was different and that I was longing for, but I didn't know exactly what it was until the opportunity came, and I had the opportunity to indulge on the idea that, hey, maybe this is it. And once I realized that that was the answer.
So how did you come about just blood? I mean, did someone offer it to you, or you? I mean, that seems.
Yeah, when you're a little kid, you get bumps, you get scraped on the playground, and eventually one day somebody accidentally, hurt their knee, and as of course, hey, or helping them up, accidentally, touched their knee and had the blood on my hand. So, in the mouth it went, because I had the idea, hey, maybe this was something.
Oh man.
Something that was needed to happen. And then when it happened, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's it. Not as romantic as
not as romantic, but maybe that kid was a vampire too, and that's how you got the virus. You're infected with a virus. No. You know that, right? Being a vampire. I mean, there's hundreds looking for you, like Blade, Van Helsing. That stuff is. I know you were like, oh, it doesn't happen, but I'm sure there's some psychos out there that are like looking for vampires.
I'm a very scientific-minded person. If there was ever a test that could explain it, I would be happy to take it. But I've had a lot of blood tests, and so far I'm just regular person. Now
I'm trying to walk through this, linearly, and I'll ask some other questions. I know Timothy also had a question in the chat. So when you found out about this, did you tell your family?
No.
Okay. Did you ever tell your family? Do they know that you identify as a vampire?
No, I'm definitely not open to my family about it. I mean, I'm gothic. I like dark stuff. I go and I used to be big into the goth clubs, but other than just being a darkly minded person, that's about as much as my parents know.
Okay, that's fine. Now, so you never told your family about it. What about people close to you? You have like certain friends you hang out with?
No, it's actually, I'm quite happy keeping it to myself because it's not something that you can tell everybody. It's not something you can even tell your family.
Right, I imagine.
Because it's just not within them. Sometimes you just know people who aren't going to understand.
Yeah, I can try to paint the picture of a 8-year-old, 9-year-old trying to explain to her family that she's a vampire, that she likes to taste the blood, and then I can see a visit to, like a psychiatrist, very soon. That might be,
Yeah, for a lot of us, it's a very personal journey. It's not like I had somebody there to hold my hand and say, "Hey, this is why you feel this way, and you can fix it with this." And it's like, no, that's pretty much how my whole life has been. Is just understanding who I am.
Now, what about your
myself,
partner? Does your partner know that you are a vampire?
Yes, that's actually how we met. So.
Oh, is he or she a vampire too? I don't know, but.
Yeah. We're the same. He's like me.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, like I said, he's not vegan.
Okay. He's not vegan. Okay. And you're vegan, which we'll get into that pretty soon. A question I was offered in the chat, Timothy Olson. Do you have a familiar? I believe vampires have familiars. Is that part of the lore?
No, I don't. I do have. I've had some animals in the past that I was very close to, but not right now.
Now, is familiar also a term for like the sort of underling, the certain humans you keep around just to feed on?
That one. No, if only it was that easy.
Because I know the term's used in a, like an animal way or like a sort of pet, but I also heard it used with another vampire on Michael Vacmil, if I believe his last name. I'm horrible with names. I think he referred to it as a familiar, like a human that he constantly feeds off of. Consensually, of course.
Oh, I forgot, about, that's also a term for donors. But no, I do not.
Cool tactic of the chat educated me. Sorry. That's a ghoul. They call that a ghoul. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Look, I'll come out and say it. I'm ignorant on this stuff. I'm going to own that.
Apparently I am too, because I'm not into, big into community and the terms that they've come up with for different things.
But you know what? Accepting that, acknowledging that you're ignorant, and knowing that you don't know everything, that is part of, I don't know, becoming educated, becoming enlightened in this subject. So that's why we're having this talk. So, all right. So you're a vampire. You feast off blood. How often? How often do you eat blood?
It's been quite a stretch. If ideally at my, at the best point of my life was about once a month.
Once a month, like a period.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Is it your own blood?
No.
Okay. Is it your partner's blood?
Sometimes if we're really that bad off, but
Hmm.
before we've had donors, it's
Okay, you
not
get donors.
easy to find donors where we are now.
Okay.
So it's been a while.
Yeah. Now, are you worried about the blood you get? Are you worried about it having Hep C or AIDS or
Oh
anything?
yeah, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. I grew up somewhere where STDs were the norm, so I was definitely not going to ever be in a situation where I didn't know, like somebody had the blood test or something like that. So it wasn't any. I kind of like, oh, let me, this person looks clean. Let me just go ahead. And no,
No.
I've
Okay.
always made sure that
And
they've been
oh,
tested and
and is the feeding thing like a sexual thing, or is it just because I know some people like sexualize it, where we're like they.
yes, no, no. Some people definitely do. It's not in any way
Hmm,
a sexual thing to me. It's definitely like about keeping my health and
keeping your
making
health.
sure that I'm at
Okay.
100%. And definitely other people who are like drawn to that, classical idea of being
Okay.
swooned and things like that. There are people out there that have that idea, but that is not
Now
how I
you
feel
said
about it.
earlier, you mentioned earlier. I'm not sure if it's the pre-stream. I was chatting before we
Hmm.
went live, or if it was already on the show.
Hmm.
But let's just make sure we put this out there. When you feed, it's for your health. Like let's hit on
Hmm.
that just a little bit. What do you mean exactly? I know.
Well, for me, it definitely it's visible. I get tired very easily, joints hurt, like
Okay.
harder to wake up. It's just almost like being extremely exhausted all the time,
Okay. And
and
now
nothing.
does
Yeah.
over the counter medicine, does that help you?
No, I would say not. I'm not sick. It's not like a deficiency of any sort.
Okay.
And like I said, I've been medically examined. I've had blood tests done, and all my blood tests are perfect. Well, not perfect. Nobody's perfect, but I'm not no deficiencies, no diseases. I try to make sure my health is in the best shape it can be in.
Okay. So let me and correct me if I'm wrong here, but so let's say you wake up one day or sometime during the day you have a headache. Do you immediately go,
Hmm.
"Oh, I need to feed on some blood," or do you take like a ibuprofen or Advil, whatever, and
It's a different feeling
different
than
feeling?
just
Okay.
feeling. Yeah, it's not like a head. Like I don't get headaches when I need to. It's more of like it's hard to explain without with somebody who doesn't know what it feels like. But with as long as I've been on this planet, I've definitely weeded out the possibilities of what it could be. It's not headaches, it's not cramps, or it's not maybe I'll eat some more vitamins, eat some more oranges for vitamin C. It's different. It's more
Okay.
integral than
Okay.
just something like that.
Okay. Now let's move into the veganism. I'm looking at Timothy Olson's information he's feeding me in the chat too about werewolves. I'll look at that real fast. Oh well, I guess let me ask you: is there a link between vampires and werewolves? What is that? How come? How come in what is it Underworld? There's that link between them. Like what's up with that?
I couldn't tell you. I've never met anybody that I felt that there was some kind of unspoken animosity towards. I've met other people in the other kin community. It's not like that. I mean, I've never met anybody I didn't like who understood the dynamics of what they were and what
I'll,
I
I'll,
am.
I'll tell you this right now. I have not met. I've met 3 or 4 people that claim to be real life vampires. Actually, 5 people when you count the
Uh-huh.
couple. I've never met anyone that claimed to be a real life werewolf. Because if they
Oh,
did come
I
on,
have, yeah.
oh, I'll bring them on, and I'll be like, show it, transform now, transform now.
I don't 100% understand, Therians or lycanthropes of any sort, but I can definitely uh, accept them for who they are and what they go through.
Well,
It's, hmm.
yeah. Do you have fangs?
Do I? Naturally, yes. They're not anything, special. They're just regular
Just long canines?
canines.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, are there other vampires that like I think there's some that they put like artificial things. Okay.
Yeah, there's definitely people that get permanent caps and things like that, or get removable ones. But it's fun. But you know, I'm not in the place in my life right now where I could just walk around advertising it.
Okay. Now, well, why is that? I mean, what sort of attention would it bring?
I live in a very rural area. Not a lot of open-minded people. I'm kind of like at the very tip of the Bible Belt, you know, kind of. So it's not very, very God country. I live across the street from a church. You know, it's it's not easy to walk around without people already looking at me because one, you know, I'm a black female, and two, I'm a gothic black female, so I'm already getting looks as it is. So I don't need to throw fangs on top of that.
Yeah, you definitely stand out. You definitely stand out in that area.
Yeah, then people start, you know, following me around with crosses and holy water, and then you know, things will get interesting.
Okay. So, you are a vampire that does drink blood, but you're also a vegan. Now, let me just tell you, someone who loves horror, someone who loves, you know, horror movies, horror books, a vegan vampire sounds impossible. Those two words, they shouldn't make any sense combined. Like a Dracula or Lestat feasting off of what? Soy milk and
carrot juice.
Yeah, eating tofu for sustenance. Vampires are monsters. They're meant. I mean, I think the reason why they feast off blood is because that's like their essence. They need that to live. That's what you have. They're gonna rob that from you. They could take your life. But if you have a vegan vampire, what's the fear? What's the worry? You just give them some almond milk and they'll be fine.
Almond milk is delicious, by the way, so it's not nothing to shake a stick at. But yeah, it's a contradiction for sure. But it's for me, veganism is. I went vegan for my health initially, you know, and the animal cruelty. And
I'll go ahead and say, I like that you do acknowledge the contradiction, because this is not some sort of gotcha or anything like that. While I do say a lot of comments and jest, whatever. I mean, you can tell I'm just joking around. This is all about having fun. But yeah, I like that you acknowledge that. So there is a contradiction. But sorry, I cut you off. But you went vegan for your health. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, I was recently saying that, you know, my blood levels of vitamins and nutrients are where they should be, but it wasn't always like that. You know, I was overweight, I was pre-diabetic, I was on the verge of having high blood pressure, and I felt like I needed to do something to better my health. And just like most of my life, I looked into what was going to make me a healthier person, and what I found was that it was a whole food, plant-based diet, and I went with it.
All right. And how long have you been on that diet?
Oh, it's been about 8 years now.
8 years. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. 8 years you've been on this diet. Now, have you ever been tempted?
Well, to start off, I've never was much of a beef eater. I wasn't much of a chicken eater. It was definitely seafood. And I definitely, I love seafood.
Crawfish?
Oh yeah, I used to love all the shellfish. I love mussels, and I love like tuna. You know, it wasn't a day that went by that I didn't have like a tuna salad or something like that. But I never really ate steak. I wasn't big on chicken. I was definitely like a coastal girl. I ate a lot of crabs, you know, because you know.
So you're not like a sizzling fajita sort of person. Like you could probably pass on a sizzling fajita. See, I can't. That's my kryptonite. I cannot pass that up. But you're like you like the crawfish boil sort of thing, like that sort of vibe.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Ooh, how do you? That's hard. That's hard to pass up. I don't even like crawfish all that much, but I can't even say no to those because I know I get two things out of that: beer and crawfish. And I like one more than the other. But if I drink plenty of beer, oh man, I'm gonna like a shit ton of crawfish. You know?
Yeah. It definitely was my thing. Yeah, it was definitely hard for me to give up tuna. And some people say that when they go vegan or vegetarian, it's cheese. the cheese wasn't that bad for me. I mean, wasn't that hard for me to give up because I was already like lactose intolerant. And once I got dairy out of me, I was like, oh my god, I feel so much better because most black people are lactose intolerant. So, but tuna was hard. It was hard to give up tuna.
It was hard. Okay. Now 8 years. Now, do you ever? I know when some people have diet, they give themselves like cheat days or fun days, however they want to word it. Do you ever give yourself a cheat day?
Well, when I first was going plant-based, I definitely would give myself. I didn't go cold turkey. It was a gradual process, and it definitely gave myself a day to be like, hey, yeah, I'm gonna try this. And at the time, I was also like doing the whole workout and exercising thing too.
Okay.
And yeah, so it wasn't like overnight.
Okay.
But after a while, it's just one day I just stopped for like
2
weeks. At like 2 weeks, I went without it, and I was like, wow, I feel so much better. Everything's like not hurting the way it used to, and I'm like, I felt 100% better than when I was eating,
are you
fish and all that kind of stuff.
Now you switched for a vegan lifestyle for your health. Sometimes you had some cheat days, sounds like. But now, are you militarist? Are you combative about this? Do you want to force people to change? I mean,
am I a militant vegan?
Yeah, militant. That's what I was looking for. Jesus.
Well,
I'm supposed to be a wood guy.
I think I'm not a militant vegan, but I definitely am not quiet about it. I've definitely gotten people where I work to consider going vegan. I've actually got one coworker to cut dairy out of her life, and she's actually feels a lot better. And she said I did the lactose spell on her because I made her quit dairy. But I'm definitely not quiet about it. I don't call myself militant. I give people facts. And they can appreciate that, and they can actually go look it up themselves. And I just give people the spark of, hey, there's a different way, you know?
Okay. All right. Now, is this normally online, or is it face-to-face, or is it?
I haven't really had much online presence with being vegan, and when you're online, it's mostly family and friends and stuff like that. And everybody, yeah.
Well, the thing that's coming to mind is the thing that always grinds my gears about vegans, and it's not all vegans, some vegans, is like when they shun anyone who eats meat, anyone at all, for any especially vegans that like have like a cheat day or have a moment of weakness, whatever. It's like they shun them. It's like, how dare you? How dare you? It's like breathe. Like,
there's definitely there's people that are passionate. I can definitely say that. And with the world we live in, you can't stop and ignore that animal agriculture and the way we treat the planet is shortening our ability to live on it. And it's not something that we can just say, hey, okay, we can do this for another 30 years. We literally don't have 30 years to keep living the way that we do on this planet. So it's that too. I definitely will try to lead the way with kindness and understanding, but there's definitely people that will be like, hey, you need to stop. You are doing this and doing this. And sometimes that works for people. Sometimes people need that, sign in their face to actually see. And then sometimes people only see when they're ready,
Yeah. I don't know. I'm always kind of weird about the 20 years, 30 years, because I grew up like in the 80s, 90s, and it's like I've always heard like the doomsday's coming, doomsday's coming, and it's like the world's gonna, all this stuff's gonna happen. But with cows and all that, factory farming, I could see how some people can have a problem with, I guess, like factory farm process. Be like, oh, it's so brutal, so brutal. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, it is brutal. The animals are being killed, they're being slaughtered. I mean, you have to either just be like, whatever, I don't care, or you feel for it. I mean,
yeah, it's not just cows, it's chickens, it's pigs, and I mean here where I live, pigs outnumber people, and it's things like that that's actually hurting the environment. I mean, and pigs being raised in confined spaces like that hurt the people that live around them too. I mean, there's people that are born with asthma and get all kinds of other diseases from breathing in those fumes. And it's not just an animal welfare issue; it's a human welfare issue too. Because not just that, those farms are in poor communities that can't do anything about it but live where they live because that's all they can afford.
And this farms must stink like shit. I've never been near any of those factory farms, but they must stink like absolute shit.
Oh yeah. Absolutely, and that affects people's health, not just the animal welfare. I mean, that's horrible within itself.
Okay, now one thing that was brought up in the chat, I had thought about this too. So let's say you cut out the animals. You didn't want to hurt the animals anymore. You didn't want to kill them, but you want to focus on crops. Now, animals take space and they eat crops. So what are you going to do about the animals? How are you going to stop them from breeding and overpopulating to where they don't pose an issue to your crops?
It's definitely never something that's going to happen overnight. Yes, there are like hundreds of thousands of animals for the sole purpose of human consumption, but those animals are there because people breed them into existence. If animals were left to their own reproductive cycles and needs, they would eventually live long lives, not reproduce much, and eventually the population would slowly go down.
Well, I have to we see where it's not doing that with like the deer population and wild hogs. Those are two there that they don't have any natural predators because we took them out. We pretty much took out wolves, which is part of the problem. But because we did that, they don't have natural predators. We are now their predator. Wild hogs and deer, they can overpopulate, and they do in certain regions certain areas where hunters are being paid to shoot. In Texas, hunters can be paid to shoot wild hogs from a helicopter, like Rambo style, like it's Vietnam. It is that's crazy. They're being paid to do that.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to realize that like you said, that was a human caused problem because there's no predators anymore, and those animals just without that kind of predatory control are going to reproduce on their own and not have anything to call them or kill them for eating purposes other than humans. So it's a situation that was created by humans and has to be fixed by humans now.
Yeah, I just don't know how we fix that, because if we don't kill any more of the animals, we release them, and we just make the land suitable for
there
crops.
Was one. I remember reading one story about they were, and it did get some press, but it was kind of like made fun of. But they were actually like fixing the animals, like they would capture them, give them.
Now, I heard about that.
Yes. Stop their ability to reproduce, and then would release them, and then eventually over time the population would go down.
So, I mean, if you did something like that, if you castrated the animals, like physically or through chemicals, then you would stop it. But isn't that kind of us impairing them, their ability to live freely? I mean, that's.
I mean, like I said, there's never a perfect answer.
Yeah.
To an imperfect, problem. I mean, it's either, local governments give license out to kill them in mass numbers, you castrate them, or actually give life a chance to live how it's supposed to, and predators would come back, but that's not going to happen because of people.
See, what I'm thinking here is, maybe I'm wrong, and that's fine, and correct me, especially the chat too, is maybe there's a happy medium somewhere, a balance. It's like people are worried about all the animals being slaughtered. Okay. But we got some people are just going to eat meat. They're just going to eat meat. They're not going to go to all plant-based diet, whatever. But some people want a plant-based diet. Okay. Well, I don't know. Like, there could be a happy medium there achieved through, I don't know, the market. What the demand is. If people want more crops, grow more crops. There's a lot of crops, there's a lot of farmland. It seems like a happy medium could be achieved, maybe. But the thing is, if it's gonna be like I want it completely vegan all the way. I don't know if that's gonna go through. I don't know. I don't see America doing that. I don't see the world doing that. I don't see China. I don't see China doing that for. China's not going to go vegan.
Well, despite what people thought before the epidemic, China's trying to change too, and nobody ever thought China would. China stopped eating dogs and cats.
Hold on. They didn't stop. They still have wet markets.
They still have wet markets. They were the first ones to open back up. But I mean, the statistics are 3 out of 4 new diseases that come up are zoonotic diseases. And people are starting to talk about what we need to do so these things don't keep happening. And part of it is how we eat. Wildlife, that's going to be a harder solution. The easiest thing we can do now is start making the choices with what we put on the plate.
Okay. Now, how does the vegan lifestyle fit in with the vampire lifestyle?
Well, it doesn't really fit, but at the same time, the soul of veganism is what is possible and practical to cause as little harm to animals in the world. And for me, I don't consume animal products. I try to be as environmentally knowledgeable as possible. I recycle. I, compost, I garden, and I'm trying to do my part to lower my impact on the planet. Now, when it comes to the vampire part, I mean, I will get a donor when I find one, and I only ask and take what is freely given. And other than that, that's the only part of my life that would be considered not vegan. Everything else in my life is vegan.
Everything else is vegan other than feeding off of a human. Okay. Now, I imagine, how do you get in debates or arguments about that with other vampires?
Not really, because I really don't bring it up because of I talk about it when it comes up in situations where people are discussing it, and there is definitely the idea that no, it's cut and dry. If you are a sanguinarian or a psi or whatever, you cannot be vegan. But what it means to be vegan is not to be perfect. Veganism and perfection is not synonymous. It's what is far as possible and practical to achieve to cause as little harm. And if that means that you live somewhere where you don't have access to cruelty-free, items, then that's just how it is, because that's all you have access to. I mean, but once you get into a situation where you can purchase cruelty-free and purchase things that aren't tested on animals, then that's another step that you can make to become, more closer to being what you can achieve as a vegan,
Okay. Now, let me ask you, what about the, how does this work with the legend of the vampire? I mean, and I asked several vampires this question, what is the legend? What is the lore? Like, where does the vampire lore come from?
It's an undead creature that comes from the grave to suck the blood of the living. That's the legend. And it depends on where you are, too, because Asian legends of vampires are completely different than European vampires. So, and of course, African vampires. Every continent has their own idea of what a vampire is. It just depends on where you are.
Now, I would like to be educated on an African vampire, because I've always been told about, and a lot of people always hear about, like, Vlad the Impaler. Everyone hears about him.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's definitely not just about a physical, creature. And there's definitely spirits that can or are believed to be vampires that are what afflicts humanity. And definitely there's the Asian, I forget what it's called, but it's pretty much like a floating freaking head that goes around at night sucking people dry. And it's like, it's what is the real legend? I think one idea is that we just made up all the legends so people wouldn't just look at us. So, that's one idea. But I don't know too many African vampire legends. I just know that there's more of a spirit kind of based, like, a curse of some sort that somebody can cast on you or afflict you with a demon or stuff like that. But practically European-wise, it's just a creature from the dead that comes back and wants to drink your blood.
Now, there's of course there's myths, there's folklore, but are there historical figures that were vampires like Vlad? Was he a vampire?
I wouldn't say. I'd say he was just a pretty freaking badass mofo that like to put people up on spikes and he definitely drank their blood. I wouldn't call him a vampire, but there's people that also drink blood dietarily because it's part of their cultural cuisine. Would you call them vampires?
I mean, I eat meat, and I like it medium rare, so I'm pretty sure there's blood in my steak. I'm not a vampire. There's people that put blood in their soup. If you ever, depending on who you go with, I was a young lad when I went deer hunting my first time, and when you get your first deer, what they do, I thought it was just a joke, but they put a little bit of the deer blood in the shot glass to make you take a shot of it. I thought it was a joke.
Oh yeah,
it wasn't a joke.
Yeah, original Jaeger had deer blood.
Okay.
Yeah, the original Jaeger had deer blood, and because of Americans, they actually had to take the deer blood out for American Jaeger. So,
see, I heard about that. I didn't. Okay, so they did have deer blood in Jägermeister. Okay. Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, so blood is a part of a lot of things that people don't usually think of, and just because somebody consumes blood or makes it a part of their diet doesn't make them a vampire either.
Okay. Now, are there different flavors of the blood? Like, are there different flavors between the types?
Yeah, I definitely can attest to that.
I've heard
OCs
that
are
a lot.
different than B, and females are sweeter. Males have thicker blood, and it also depends on what they're eating too.
Now, I've heard from other vampires that diabetic blood is like horrible. Is that true?
Well, I would personally, I've never fed from a person who was diabetic, and I would actually probably not accept blood from somebody who was having any kind of diabetic, condition.
Have you seen the new the Netflix BBC Dracula?
Netflix? No, I actually only started the first episode, and I thought it was pretty good. But I love a good horror, and especially when it's Dracula.
There was a part where he was drinking blood and was tainted. He starts vomiting. And the problem is that she has cancer. The person who's drinking from has cancer in her heart or something. So, so it tainted him. I mean, like but I imagine, if you drink blood from someone who has, I know you say you watch out for health or whatever, but I mean, is there ever blood that you drink that's like, ugh, this is foul? It's like, what is this nasty stuff?
Well, yeah, that's why I also say that it's definitely about what people are eating and how well they're taking care of their health, because you can definitely taste that as well. People who don't eat enough, fruits or vegetables, somebody that has a very heavy meat diet, things like that. And of course, my partner, he actually says vegans taste the best. So
vegans taste the best. Okay.
So yeah, it's definitely what you eat can have an influence on what you taste like.
I could see that. What you eat changing the way your blood tastes, I suppose. I don't know. I'm not gonna sample. The other vampire I talked to, I don't know if we're ever gonna have conventions again. Hopefully, we'll pretty soon. Hopefully, But he said next time we meet up, he might trick me into trying a blood cookie. I don't know if I want to do that. A literal blood
No,
cookie.
I've
That's not
never-
a euphemism for
yeah.
anything. That's a blood cookie.
That'd be interesting. I love to bake, so I've never tried using
do you
blood,
bake?
but of course.
Oh, do you, I think you can answer. Do you bake with blood?
Oh no, I never tried it. I do like to bake, so that'd be an interesting idea.
Okay. So, do you have ever made a blood smoothie?
No, I actually don't like to store blood, and it's like it's something that I don't think stores well, at least for how it makes me feel. And if it's, I usually, like you were asking before, is it sexualized? I don't even drink straight from a donor. We are very sanitary. We actually use a syringe and draw the blood out that way. And so there's, and I don't like to store. I just like to consume it like it immediately. So there's no saving it for any baking or smoothie purposes.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, that's pretty hardcore, man. You cross a vampire who does that stuff, man.
But then at the same time, there's people who do save, blood that they get from the supermarket, or they go to a butcher and they use that blood to bake or cook with.
I saw a video, I think a couple years ago, where these ladies were storing their menstrual blood and they were baking stuff out of that. I was like, why?
No.
That's just,
No. Yeah, that grosses me out.
We can agree that's nasty, right? I think we can agree that's nasty.
Yeah, that's
nasty.
That's nasty.
That's
No,
nasty.
that's
nasty.
Yeah, that's like, yeah. I don't even want to talk about it.
yeah. Let's shift gears. Hey,
Yeah.
I haven't really asked this question in a while. Have you ever had a paranormal experience?
Well, I definitely have. I'm a practitioner of magical arts of sorts, and ever since I was young, I have had sensitivity to energies and things like that as well. I've had paranormal experiences, and so I'm usually within the community there are people who are sensitive to the spirits and energies of nature and things like that.
Okay. Now, what was the most crazy and believable, like, paranormal experience you've had? Like, now, keep in mind, you're talking to someone who's kind of a skeptic here.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is the one that's the most convincing that you can tell me?
Convincing. Oh my goodness. I never had an experience that was convincing to somebody else, because most people can't perceive those things. But trying to explain it, like, I don't think anything I've experienced would convince somebody that spirits exist or anything like that. But I've definitely saw a lot of spirits in my house that I grew up in. Mm-hmm. I would see them walking, through my hallway.
Through your hallway?
Because my room was at the end. Yeah, at the end of my house, and I would actually leave my door open, and I could see them like walking, through my hallways, and sometimes they would wave at me. But other than that,
they're just wave high. These spirits would just wave high.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, my house was really old, so sometimes spirits hang around. I haven't had that kind of experience since I left that house.
Okay. I mean, these spirits, do they look like human? I mean, are they kind of like amorphous blobs?
Yeah, I never had the gift of actually seeing like features and stuff. Mostly they just look like shadows to me.
See, some people call them shadow people. So you seen shadow people?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Now, what is your favorite horror movie?
Oh, geez, that's hard. All-time favorite horror movie. Oh.
And for those watching the live stream, I'm really trying to get the most I can out of this cigar. These things are not cheap. I try to get the most I can. This thing is at the end. Sorry.
Yeah, those things aren't cheap. Like you said. Let's see. I would have to say, if I had to pick one all-time favorite movie for horror, it may have to be The Omen.
The Omen.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's
the original. Yeah, not the not the remake. Yeah.
Wasn't
it? It's either good.
Wasn't The Omen a Polanski movie? The Omen.
Yeah, then I think. Well, don't quote me, but yeah, I do not know. But off the top of my head, yeah, I think that would be my favorite movie.
It was, man. That's about that guy. I mean, he made some movies that are pretty damn good. Okay, but yeah, The Omen's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what was it about The Omen that really did it for you?
Oh man, to be the freaking devil child and to make things happen, and it's just, I don't know. And also, it's pretty darn scary. When I remember that as a kid watching that, and it gave me nightmares. So it was either that or Child's Play.
A Child's Play, the original.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's good. And cool tactic, yes. Yeah. I do pay attention to the chat here. I have seen The Platform on Netflix. I did a review on it, actually. You might want to watch that, because I went off on that movie. I went off because I had to. Have you seen the movie? Have you seen The Platform?
Oh, which one? The new?
Yeah. It's just called The Platform on Netflix. It's pretty new.
Oh no, I haven't seen it. Mm-mm.
Okay. How to explain it? Okay, so our main character wakes up in a cell pretty much with this other guy, this older guy, and what happens is they're in this complex that has a lot of floors, like over 333 floors to be exact. I think. And I think one time a day or 3 times a day or whatever. The time is kind of iffy in the movie. I don't think it really knows either. But a platform will go down and will stop on each floor for about 2 minutes. And they're allowed to feed off that platform. It has a whole buffet of food. Nice, fancy food. Like, prepared by a chef who knows what he's doing. And the idea is everyone's supposed to share the food on that platform, except no one tells the people, hey, share the food on the platform. They're supposed to assume what they're supposed to do. The problem is no one does it. And of course, the people at the end, at the very bottom, never get the food, so they end up eating each other and start resorting to cannibalism or starving. So by the time they get their turn to be, because they rotate, they change floors. So you may wake up once a month, you're changed to another floor. You might be on like floor number 15, and it's great. And then the next month you're on floor number 290, and it's horrible because you're not going to get any food, and your roommate's looking at you like, I'm going to eat you. And then for a whole month, you're going to have to like figure out how you're going to survive.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. It's.
Well, I do like the Netflix movie so far. I haven't seen a Netflix movie that I haven't liked, so I'm going to have to see that.
Yeah, you might like it. It's pretty good. I will say I did like its gore. I did like its savagery. I like its the brutality of it all got me. But then there was
when you started.
Oh, I was gonna say there's a part to the movie where it seems like it's trying to be smarter than what it actually is. Like I get the social commentary that's, we have this platform we're all supposed to share. No one knows to share, but and you're supposed to take your turn so everyone gets a turn. But even on the platform, the size of it, the whole buffet, I don't even think that's enough food to go to 666 people, because there's 2 people per platform, so per level. So it's about 600 people, and the buffet table is about the size of a queen-size bed. And I don't know if you ever hosted a wedding party or a big party, but that food goes fast. It goes real fast.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it's food that's non-perishable. It sounds like it's going to go bad in a couple of days if you don't eat it.
You can't even store it. In the movie, if you store the food to try to save it for later, there's a consequence for that. Except it's not done by any one particular. It's all controlled by the complex, by the building they're in. The floor gets heated or it becomes real cold. How that doesn't affect the other floor is beyond me. I don't understand that. But the movie, it tries to be real smart when there's a lot of loopholes and stuff. It's
I kind of, when you first started explaining it, I don't know if you ever heard of this movie, and it actually had a couple of sequels. It's called The Cube, and it's kind of like the same idea, except there's no food, and people go through, each corridor and it's like a trap in each one, trying to figure out how to get out of this giant cube, and they don't know how many floors there are and everything.
They compare it to The Cube. The Cube is actually kind of a better movie than this.
Yeah. I like The Cube.
Yeah. The Cube is a much better movie than The Platform.
Yeah.
And yeah, Cool Tactic, you're right. The social commentary is not exactly subtle at all. It's right there. It's like, I get it. Share the wealth. But there's not even enough wealth to share. Is that the problem? Is that the point of the movie too? It's like, I don't know. It's doing both. But what is... You like cheesy B movies? You like slashers too?
Oh yeah, I try to watch as many as I can. They're funny. Yeah. I'm not. I don't know too many, but I definitely will. I love watching them. Mm-hmm.
I watched them a lot. Like pretty much, you put a horror movie in front of me, I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna find something out of it that I like. Even like I said, The Platform. Even though I have things I don't like about it, I did praise it for its gore. Oh man, the violence in that is pretty good. When they start eating people, oh man, there's a scene that's real violent. And this chick starts feeding like our main character like food. Like food. I mean parts of the human flesh and all that stuff. It's savage.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I mean, one other question I like to ask all my guests really is what is it about horror movies? What is it about horror that really appeals to us, to you?
I guess that people, we like to be scared. People like to get on roller coasters and get scared crap out of them that way. When people like going in haunted houses. Movies give us that fear that we in everyday life just kind of don't get anymore. Mm-hmm. I think. At least that's my opinion.
I feel that too. You're right. I mean, the thing with horror movies, the way horror works, especially one that works for you, the ones that stick with you, is it makes you face a fear that you have. It makes you uncomfortable. Like The Omen for you. Like what? The Omen and Child's Play. Those movies did something to you, showed you something that scares you. Oh right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Child's Play made me get all the doll babies out of my room. I used to have like dolls all over my room as a kid. After I saw Child's Play, I was like, nope.
Oh, yeah. You got to get rid of them all.
Yeah.
Get rid of them all. Man.
Yeah, I got rid of them all.
You could try to behead. You could try to behead them, put the heads on the shelf, and maybe they wake up and they'll be like talking to you. That would be scary too, huh?
No, I had those weird dolls that the eyes follow you. So.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Fuck. I gotta tell you, I used to be afraid of little dolls too. Anymore now?
Not anymore, but yeah.
Yeah, anymore now as an adult watching Child's Play, it's like, dude, like couldn't someone just kick that doll in the face? I mean, it's a doll. Come on now.
Well, you're not suspecting it. That's the thing. You're not expecting.
Yeah.
Little demon dolls to jump on your back and try to stab you with a cleaver.
Right. It works. It works for a little while. You're not expecting it, so it has a gotcha. But then when you know what it is, it's like, how's it getting the upper hand on you? That's like the Child's Play movies. Always felt like they kind of ran its course a bit. I think the movies know that. That's why they went silly, because it's like, come on, guys, we're
hell yeah, especially Seed of Chucky. Yeah, that
was. Did you ever see was it the Curse of Chucky, or no, the Cult of Chucky?
No, I haven't seen Cult of Chucky.
Oh. Well, it actually opens up like what I said. He has the head. You have Chucky's head like in a safe place, and Andy, the kid, which by the way he was a guest on this podcast before. I don't know how many people know that. Like, he talked to him before as well. Never got to ask him what his thoughts and feelings are about the remake. I was told not to ask him that. But anyway, I don't like that. When people tell me not to ask, that always messes with me. You're gonna say what I can't say? No. But But yeah, he had the head of Chucky, and they're just smoking pot. It was a good vibes. Good vibes. But oh man. But all right. So Brandy, we talked a lot about vampires, how veganism affects your vampire ways. Talked about veganism. This isn't really a vegan or a political podcast or anything like that, so I didn't really go too deep into that. It's not that sort of thing, but touch on a little bit. That's fine. And I always treat my guests. Hey, you say when you say that's fine. You know, I always treat you guys. You guys are guests. I give you guys respect in that. I thank you so much for coming on the show and talking to me about your life as a vampire and how your vegan diet, how that goes with your, I guess, blood feeding and all that, especially about horror movies.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's been fun. I appreciate you extending the offer to be on your podcast, and I wanted to, help people understand, that it's not just one way to be vegan.
You could be a vegan vampire. All right.
Yeah.
Well, you push that message. You push that message out there, and
I'm gonna try.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you made it this far, press the like button, share, and subscribe. And even if you don't like what the guest said, even if you don't agree, you know what? She said her thing. Yeah, she was on the show, kind of enough to be on the show. I would show her some respect, I think we could recognize that at least. I thought it was interesting. I thought it was very interesting to hear about. I always find it interesting to hear about people who say they're vampires and want to go into detail. Like, what does that mean? Because it seems like it's different from different people. It's like, okay. But, yeah. Had a good time. You guys, ladies, y'all take it easy. All right. The stream is over.